Hello guys, and I know I told you I will come in 2 minutes, but something happened. I realized that the size of videos on YouTube are for unverified accounts. It's for this one 15 minutes, and for verified accounts you can upload more than an hour. So my size but this is what I wanted to show you. The longest video on YouTube. Okay. So the longest video on YouTube is no, not this one, this one. Okay, this is the longest video on YouTube, 596.5 hours, and nothing but black and white. Okay, so I'm going to start tutorials on Premiere, how to use Adobe Premiere and how to modify videos after the Photoshop tutorials, of course. So if you want Premiere Pro tutorials and other tutorials also, then just comment below. Just comment in this video, or if you guys, I know majority of you guys are coming from Instagram, so if you are just DM me if you want the videos. I have time on my hands due to COVID-19. I am under house arrest, so I have nothing to do but make these videos. Okay, so I have explained it to you how to use transformations and all these things, and to just duplicate photos and do all these things. But duplicating photos is a totally different concept. I will teach you only after a certain period of time, only after I'm sure that making these videos is not just a loss of time of mine. I hope some students are watching. Someone is learning something. Someone is learning something. I don't want my videos to be monetized. Hell, coronavirus. Okay, saying the word coronavirus will demonetize my videos. Okay, so coronavirus, it will demonetize my video. I just want someone to learn something from the things that I'm teaching. That's all. Okay. Now, cutting an image and all these things, you can do it now, I hope. And after cutting an image, let's say I want another image here. So instead of I want an image, I want another flower like this here. Okay, then you can copy and paste this whole thing here, or what you can do is you can just right click on the layer and just duplicate the layer. Okay, now if you duplicate the layer, see, another such layer comes. Now if you want to duplicate this layer to another canvas of around this size, then right click, then click on duplicate layer. Now instead of clicking on OK here, you just click on document, click on new. Okay, click on OK, then see, the image is duplicated in another layer. Okay, again I'm going to show you. Let's say I want to duplicate this portion. Okay, so this is the layer. So right click, click on duplicate layer. Now I want to paste it here in this one, that duplicate layer, click on new. Okay, click on OK, and the picture is getting duplicated in another layer. Now let's say I want to duplicate it in this layer only. This one I have created. Now I want another one to create it in this layer. Okay, so again I'm going to right click here, click on duplicate layer. Now instead of creating new, I've already created this layer, so I'll click here, click on OK, and see, another one of it gets pasted here. Now this is a shortcut method on duplicating the images. Just wanted to show you how I duplicate images, etc., etc. Not use copy paste each and every time. Okay, so now these things I think now you can do. I think you can transform the image, apply blending options. Okay, apply all these things, apply satin, apply color overlay. Let me just quickly show you what color overlay does. See, color overlay, gradient overlay, pattern overlay. You can do all these things now. Now, what about quick insertion of photos? Modifying it for the Instagram, adjust brightness control, make a light image darker, make a dark image lighter, and all these things. Adjust the curve, adjust hue, saturation, adjust color balance, all these things. Not the advanced stuff, not like replacement of colors, or you are wearing a green shirt, make it red, or like you have freckles on your face, remove the freckles. Not those stuff. Okay, simple stuff, simple, but things that you should do if you know Photoshop. And I know many of you guys own a DSLR, and you can create portrait images like this with a bokeh effect on the background. But how to do that in Photoshop? Okay, how to produce a bokeh effect in Photoshop? I'm sorry, that is advanced. I'm not going to teach you that now. Okay, I'm just going to teach you blur, not the bokeh effect. But just adjusting basic brightness, contrast, curves, all these things. How to do that? Let's just open an image. Now, yeah, I'm creating for Instagram. So what I will do is I'll open Photoshop. I know the size of the image in Instagram. Let me just quickly save myself from another copyright infringement. Next desktop background. Yeah. Now, go to file, new, and then not clipboard, 1080 by 1080, 72. Let's make it 100. Click on create. Okay, so this is the canvas of Instagram. Now I will insert an image, a nice image. Let's say let me see what image I have. Sorry, what image I have. I have flowers, and yeah, let's just select the flower. This is the flower. Now I don't want this blurry portion. I just want this. Okay, so I will Control A, C, or since I just want this, I will select it using a rectangular marquee tool. Now, if you want the perfect square to be selected, click on Shift, keep on pressing Shift, then click and drag. Just click and drag. And don't worry, even if you like click and drag in axis, like I have made this part an axis, then you can just release everything and just click and place the rectangle, place the square over the proper image that you want to copy and paste. Then just go to edit and copy, and then edit and paste, and then see the image is still higher. That means of a higher resolution. So I'm pressing Ctrl T on the keyboard, taking out the transformation option. Then I'm going to press Shift and then transform it, or you can press Alt, decrease the canvas size. First press Shift and then transform it, make it smaller than the canvas. Oh, don't move this one. I just made a mistake. Again, I'm making the mistake. That's why I don't decrease the size. Click, and then this one again, increase the size. Press Shift again. Okay. Click and drag it to the proper size. Okay, done. Enter. So this is the image on which I'm going to be adjusting everything now. First and foremost, take this as step by step. Okay. Now, many of yours preferences or many other YouTube tutorials that are better than me, that teaches you things much more clearly and much more nicely than me, I advise, if you have seen my video first, then I advise you to see those videos on these options. Okay, this these options that I'm going to use is basically how I use them, and it is basically it's on the whims of the user, or the whim. You can, like, I want this image, for example, this image to be a little bit more brighter. Some other editor may not want this to be a brighter. Some may say that no, it's of the perfect brightness, let's decrease the brightness. So he or she may want to decrease the brightness. Okay, then another photographer may want the red colors to be enhanced. Okay, so it depends on user to user. You don't want. Okay, so what I do is, now I don't work with a photographer per se. I just see the image, I see that yeah, this is not a very bright image, I want this to be a little bit brighter. So I do on that. But if you are working professionally, or if you are working or let's say your girlfriend has given you a photo for modification, then obviously you have to listen to your girlfriend and modify the photo according to her. Your whims will not work on that situation. So what the things that I'm going to teach you, I'm teaching it as I like it, as I do it. Other professionals or other things or other videos may teach all these things differently. So after seeing this, see those other videos. If you just DM me on Instagram, I can give you loads and loads of links on such things. Okay, so without much further ado, let's just jump into it. Before doing any of these things, brightness, contrast, curves, exposure, saturation, hue, color, all these things, select the image. Always, if you are using a canvas, select the image. If you are not selecting it, then these options will all be disabled. Sorry, it's enabled now because I have selected. If you have not selected this image, these options will be, some of the options will be disabled. Okay, so firstly, select this image. Now let me just disappear the background for a minute. I just want the image. Now the very first thing that I do is go to the image button, and again see what I just did. See, these options are disabled. That's why select the image. I'm eating my own words right now. Image, then go to adjustments. See this auto tone, auto contrast and auto color. I don't know who has set this preset values, but I can assure you one thing. No one in my knowledge uses these. Do not use these. Trust your eyes. Okay, so image adjustment, go from here, from top to bottom. Some of the things I'm going to teach you, some of the things I'm not even going to touch, because I have to delve into some other very long explanations on let's say gradient map, how to select gradient map, or what is desaturation, what is replacing of colors. Those are for some other time. Okay, the very basic thing, brightness and contrast, number one. Okay, so after seeing the image, you have to know if the image is bright or if the image is first the image is bright, or if it is not bright, or if it has proper contrast, or it doesn't have a proper contrast. Now how I see whether an image is bright or not bright is to compare it with other images. Okay, compare it with other images on, let's say, images of red flowers. Now as soon as I have opened this page, I notice something. The brightness is okay. See, I hope you guys are being able to tell the difference between brightness and brightness of these images and these images. But see, the brightness is okay. I thought it was not bright, but it's bright. So I'm not going to change the brightness if if I'm going to edit it personally. But to teach you guys right now, I'm going to adjust the brightness. So click on, again I did it fast, image, adjustment, brightness and contrast. Now brightness and contrast. Now I do it like this, I don't recommend. So this is one of the moments like Linus, it's do as you are told and don't do it as I do. Okay, I don't know how, I mean, yeah. So this is one of those moments. Don't do it as I am right now, as I'm telling you to do something this way, do it this way. Don't do it in some other way. Okay. So two ways by which you can do it. You can just adjust the brightness and contrast like this. Okay, like this. Don't do it. Go to image. Don't go to image. Go to layer. Then create a new adjustment layer. Now what this will do is, this will create a layer on top of this layer. Okay, and you are going to change the brightness, contrast, etc., everything on the new adjustment layer. Now if you make a mistake, if you have increased the brightness, if the photographer doesn't like it, if your girlfriend doesn't like it, then you can just remove that layer and the original image, you'll get it. Or you can do is, you can just duplicate the layer and then click on here, and then only that layer gets displayed. Duplicate layer, same thing, but instead of doing all these steps, what you can do is go to layer, go to new adjustment layer. Now see, all these options, adjustments, these options are also here. Okay, the some of these options, not the color replacement options, etc. So new adjustment layer, brightness and contrast. Immediately it will tell you that another layer is being created. Okay, click on OK. This will create the brightness, contrast, adjustment layer. Now select the brightness. I want this to be a little bit brighter. Okay, and a little bit, it has a little bit more contrast. Keep the brightness and contrast values, like if it is 23, I will keep it plus 523 minus 523, not more than that. This is my general rule of thumb. Okay, if it is a very dark image, then you can increase. If you want to increase the brightness, then you can do it, then it's okay. But for images like this, whether it's full of color, where you don't know whether it is bright or not bright, just keep it plus. If you have set the brightness on, let's say 18, then 18 plus 5, 23. I will set it in 23, the contrast. This is my general rule of thumb. I don't, many of you will explain it to you much quickly, much nicely. If you look at other videos, why they do what they do, but I do it like this. Okay, so I've increased the brightness a little bit, not very. Don't increase the brightness like this. This will distort the image. Okay, so just increase the brightness a little bit, increase the contrast within that little bit. Now if you're going to ask me what is brightness and what is contrast, then brightness is the amount of light in an image and contrast is the amount of darkness in an image. This is how I understand brightness and contrast. Okay, so I have adjusted the brightness and I have adjusted the contrast. Now legacy options, if you use legacy, that means the brightness and contrast, it's not the legal way to increase brightness and contrast, it's what the standard brightness and contrast. But since we are using Photoshop, we are not using legacy brightness and contrast, we are using normal brightness and contrast. Now see how I'm saying this is not good, this is not good, not good, not good, not good, not good, no, and this is very high, very high, very high, very high. Okay, this is okay. Okay, so I have adjusted it like this. So again, contrast, not good, 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 not good. Yeah, this. See now what has happened? My contrast values have decreased. Okay, let me just keep it here for crying out loud. Okay, so brightness and contrast. This is how you adjust the brightness and contrast of an image. If you want a brighter image, increase the slider. If you want a more having an image having more contrast, having more blacks, nice color contrast between this color and that color, then increase the contrast first. Then again go to layer, new adjustment layer, then levels, curves and exposure. Levels and curves. Now levels. What are levels? Okay, levels are basically the level of light, the level of darkness in a photo, in a picture, image, whatever. So if you want the image to be light, very light, then you have to adjust these sliders. Now there are many things here. If you don't know how to use these things, don't use it. I'm just going to teach you the basics. If you want a very lighter image, just create this slider this type and increase the light value. Okay, move this slider here. This will give you a light image. If you want a more darker image, then just give this slider here, and then you will create a darker image. If I want I don't know what happened to my eyes, but I'm not seeing this image as bright, so I'm just going to give it a little bit more light, just a little, a smidge, a smooch. Okay, got it. Okay, so this is how you adjust the levels of any image. Then again I'm going to go to layer, new adjustment layer, and then curves. Now to be frank, I'm still learning about curves. I don't quite know what curves are. Okay, in fact I'm learning about all these things. Still I'm learning. I've been using these for, I don't know, I can't even remember for how long, but still I'm learning. Even if I I want to make this image look like this, so what are the curved things that I'm going to use? Then and even now I search it on YouTube, and people much more experienced than me who use Photoshop daily, they tell it much more nicely than me. So after seeing this video, just go and look at those videos if you want to understand, if you want to increase your knowledge on curves, on adjustments and all these things. Okay, so curves, basically it's like the levels. There is the light curve, there is the dark curve, output curve, all these things. If you adjust the curve towards this one, then see how the image changes. If you want the again I'm so sorry, Control Z, Alt Z. If you adjust the curves like this, then see how light this image becomes. Light in y-axis, in x-axis, increase the curve values towards the x-axis, the lighter portion, then the image will become light. Okay, again y-axis, x-axis, this is the dark portion. If you make the image like this will make the image dark. Okay, so this is how you adjust curves. But most of the time, when you will be using things like this, I recommend you use presets. Okay, so let me just delete this layer, and then again delete I should have told you about presets at first. Leave the brightness and contrast. Okay, layer, adjustment layer, levels. Okay, Photoshop has some presets, like how you want the levels to be. If you want a darker image, then just click on darker. So this is the preset for dark. It's okay. If you still want more darker image, then just slide it up. Okay, this will change it to custom. Now if you want the lighter image, then just click on lighter. Okay, if you want more lighter than that, then just slide out this one. Okay, I wanted a lighter image, so I just clicked on lighter. And I didn't even want a lighter image, I just want to lighten up the shadows, so just click on lighten up the shadow. But this is again so just use these presets. You guys are most probably not going to do all these things other than changing the brightness and contrast, don't change all these. This will, if you don't know it, don't change it. If you have seen YouTube videos, or if you have learned about all these things, then do that. It's okay. Yeah. Remember, if you're doing it for your girlfriend, then your relationship is at stake. Okay, so if you don't know it, don't do that. Then layer, adjustment layer, curves. Again, there are presets for curves, like this is the color negative curve, this is the darker curve. Okay, and this is the negative curve. Let's see what the color negative curve looks like. See, okay, you'll not believe the things. Now I'm setting it on darker, or I want the lighter image, so I'm setting it on lighter, but still I don't want that light an image, so I'm decreasing the curve a little bit, just a smidge. Okay, so done. I've used curves on the image. Then after curves comes exposure. Now this is very, very, very important for people with DSLR. Now if you are shooting images in a very low exposure settings, very low exposure settings, then not too much, you will have a very dark image, not very dark, a dark image. Okay, but the image will have the same amount of properties as a raw image. Okay, so this means that if you have shot the image in a DSLR, if the image size is correct, if it's a raw image, that's why people shoot in raw images or raw JPEGs. You have the information inside the image to make the image, to modify the image. Okay, now if you have shot the image in a very low exposure settings, then you can use Photoshop to increase the exposure. Okay, just just open up the image in Photoshop, go to layer, adjustment layer, exposure. Okay, and just you can increase the exposure, they increase the amount of exposure that you want. For people who don't know what exposure is the amount of light that is there in the image. Okay, it's not the amount of color, or it's not the amount of darkness, it's amount of light in the image. Okay, so that is the exposure. So you can increase or decrease the exposure from here. See how much you want. Now right now, after changing the exposure, I just realized that I did all these things wrong. I should have never changed the curve, because as soon as I've never even should have changed the brightness and contrast. I'll show you why. Okay, let's leave the exposure, let's not give curves, let's not give levels, let's not give brightness and contrast. The reason my eyes were doing like this, because the exposure was wrong. Okay, so just if I have increased the exposure a little bit, yes, that's how I want my image to be. So like this, you can increase the exposure. Then after exposure comes the offset of this exposure. Okay, how much you want, like if it is 1, think of offset being like decimal points after a whole number. Okay, you want the exposure offset to be this much, then with every increment the exposure settings will increase this much. Okay, so this is the offset of exposure, just this much exposure will do. Yeah, now gamma is the, as I understand it, okay, I know there is a proper definition for all these things. I know many people can explain it much nicely about exposure, offset, exposure and gamma more nicer than me, but how I understand gamma is the amount of background light that you have on an image is the gamma. Now if you increase the just see, if I increase the gamma, but if I decrease the gamma, see what happens, the amount of background light gets increased. If I increase the gamma, the background light gets decreased. Not the colors, notice the colors are there, the light, it gets decreased. Okay, So that is gamma. Now if you want, now since I've increased the exposure, I will just decrease the gamma a little bit. Yeah, this much will do. Note that you will not change these values too much further towards the left or right, just a smidge, just a little bit, so that your image looks perfect. You'll not do this and this and this and call it an image. No, you'll not do these things. Okay, so just just see how much now to fine tune it, just click here, click on the scroll wheel on the mouse and see how the values get changed. This is how I change it. Again, too much exposure. Okay. So this is how I want it. Okay. So this is exposure. You can change the exposure settings like this. Forgive my English. Then again, layer, new adjustment layer, vibrance. Now comes the vibrance portion. Now vibrance is the digital vibrance. So if you have a DSLR, then vibrance is the contrast of the colors that your camera or the lens catches. That's the vibrance. Okay, so when you are changing the vibrance, notice how the amount of exposure for the colors, not the light this time, the amount of exposure for the color changes. Now if I increase the vibrance, okay, it's not doing anything. Why is it not doing anything? Oh yes, the image might already be very vibrant. You cannot know. See, the image is already vibrant. This was caught in a very good camera. That's why the vibrance, even if I'm changing the vibrance settings, it's not doing anything because it's already vibrant. How much vibrance do you need? Photoshop knows this. Okay, if you don't need it, just click it like this. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, this is Instagram worthy, don't you think? Okay, so this much vibrant I want the photograph to be. I know it's not Instagram worthy, it's just now saturation is basically the colors, how darker or how lighter the colors would be. Okay, so if you increase the saturation, then you increase the amount of colors. If you decrease the saturation, then you decrease the amount of colors. Okay, so saturation is the amount of colors that you want in the image. Got it? So vibrance and saturation. Now let me give all this so that you can see how the changed image becomes. I know it's not great. Again, brightness, since I've changed the vibrance, I don't know what the brightness and contrast values were. So curves and levels, though, I will not use it for this image. Okay. Then after that, layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation. Now hue is the amount of one particular color in the image, that is the hue. Okay, then saturation is that color, how much it is in that image, that is saturation. That's how I understand it. I know there are proper definitions for hue and saturation, but that's how I understand it. So this is a very I know there are greens here, but this is a very red tingy color. Okay, so that means the hue of the color is a pinkish red, okay, or reddish pink, whatever you want to call it. So if you want to make this bit more bluish or greenish, let's say, then you will adjust this slider. Okay, it will let the blue colors come in. Okay, then basically it changes the tint, the tint of the image. Search in Google for tint. Okay, then saturation is the amount of color of that particular hue. Let's say this one. Okay, then the saturation of that, not this, that color. Okay, let me just not touch this hue. Saturation, see how much saturated, that means how much more colorful this image is. That is the saturation. And then comes the lightness. Lightness is again lighter or darker the images. Okay, now lighter and darker in respect to colors this time, not the light, the colors. Okay, so this is hue, saturation and lightness. Now layer, again adjustment layer, color balance. Now I know I have told you I'll not explain some things, but I can't help it. This will not be a tutorial if you don't know some things. Okay, so if you're finding this boring, then just skip. Now color balance is the balance of colors in the whole image. Cyan, you can change it either to a bluish tint or a reddish tint, how much colors you want in the image. You want cyan, or you want red. Okay, you want the mid-tones to be color saturated. Oh, by the way, hue saturation, vibrance, these guys also have the presets. Okay, so remember, when you are using it, just check them once. That color balance, you want the mid-tones, shadows, midtones and highlights. Shadows are, let's say if you have a scale, a color scale, let's say, or a lightness scale. Okay, then shadows and highlights are completely on two parts of that, two end parts of that scale. Shadows is the darker things that are in the image. Okay, highlights are the lighter things in the image, and vice versa. See, shadows. Okay, the shadow portions will get changed. Okay, highlights, the lighter portions will get changed. See, okay, so if think of shadows and highlights like this, for not only for color balance, for anything. Shadows is the darker portions of the image, and highlights are the lighter portions of the image. Now if you want to increase the amount of colors in the darker portions of the image, then obviously you are going to click on shadows and then use the brightness, contrast, or use the color balance and all these things. If you want the colors to be more vibrant, or if you want the tint of the colors to be changed in the lighter portion of the image, then you will change the highlights. Okay, so all these things you are going to do. Midtones is completely in the middle. Okay, now I know if you were seeing this video for the first time, and you will get confused on all these things. If you are seeing, if you look at my other videos also, this will not help you, because if you don't know about lightness or darkness of an image, if you have not worked, even if you have resized an image for the last 2-3 years, in the last 2-3 years, if you have resized an image or increased the brightness and contrast of an image, then you will know all these things. Okay, but if you have never retouched an image, then you don't know what these things, what you mean by lightness of an image. Now right now I can tell you that, yeah, lightness of an image is this part of the image, this part of an image, or this part of the image. But let's say, what about for other images? How will you classify what is lighter or what is darker? Let's say this is the image. Okay, how will you classify what are shadows? You cannot just tell this fan is here, then this is casting a shadow, this is a shadow, or this is here, then this is a shadow. No, these are not shadows in Adobe Photoshop. Shadows are completely different thing. Okay, highlights are the lighter portions of the image. Shadows are the darker portions of the image. So those are shadows and highlights. So this is how you know what are shadows, what are highlights. And then midtones is completely in the middle, the middlemost colors of the image. So shadows, highlights and midtones, you can change the tint of those colors of the shadows or the highlights. You can change the tint, you can change the way the color is distributed on those particular areas. But now let's say CMYR, RGB, everyone knows RGB, red, green and blue, cyan, magenta and yellow. Okay, so yellow, if I want the image to be, if I want the darker portions of the image to be more yellow, then I'll change it to yellow, like this. Okay, so you can adjust these things. Now if you are telling me to adjust, then I'll just click on midtones. I'll just change the cyan portion a little bit. I'll just make the image a little bit more green, and I'll increase the yellowish this one of the image. This is how I will do it. Okay, so it's on your eyes, guys. How you see the image, how nicely you see the image. Okay, and you can adjust it like that. Got it? So the color balance of an image, the amount of colors that is going to be given, you can change in the image. Done. Other than that, adjustment layer, color balance, then there is the photo filter, which is basically like a photo filter of Instagram. Cooling color. Okay, see how the color is changes. Warming filter. Okay, this is a greenish filter. Then there is a cooling filter. Now let's say I'm selecting a cooling filter like this. I'm changing the color to, let's say, a greenish tint, and then how much of the filter I want, like this. This is how you apply a photo filter. Okay. In this box also, in the other box also, preserve luminosity. Preserve luminosity means that preserve the amount of light that the photo is showing. Okay, so light is coming from here, here. Preserve luminosity is just makes these portions stays the same, and then decrease the colors. Okay, so photo filter is basically like a filter for your photo. Just use the presets here. Warming filter, no, I want more. Warming filter, no. Cooling filter, nah, this is perfect. So warming filter like this. Okay, so this is how you use a photo filter. Then again, go to new adjustment layer, channel mixer, nah, and then color lookup. Color lookup is basically no, I will not teach you color lookup right now. I have to explain it to you what colors and how to. Colors are, if you did my HTML class, then you'll know what RGB values are, how hex color images, how hex values are taken out. So all these things. Now layer, then again new adjustment layer, color lookup, invert post. Invert is very easy. Just the inverted image. Okay, negative of the image. This is invert. Many let's say, how do I explain inversion? Let me take a dark. Yeah, I have dark images. Let's say a dark face. Okay, open with Photoshop. Okay, now if I want to invert this image, go to layer, new adjustment layer, invert. Okay, see, got it. That means the complete negative of the image. That is the invert options. Then comes new adjustment layer, invert. Posterize is basically this. Okay, not much thing to do here, posterize, but sometimes you might do it. Now these things that I'm doing as adjustment layers, you can just select a portion of the image and then do on that part of the image. Okay, let's say I have, why is it looking like this? Did I change something? Oh yeah, the photo filter I have changed. Color balance reflection, no. Okay, so this portion, and then I'm going to use a layer, new adjustment layer, posterize. Okay, so only this portion will get posterized. So you can select the portion of the image, and then you can apply these options on that portion of the image too, if you want. Got it? Layer, then again new adjustment layer, not many things left. Threshold, no. Not now. Gradient map and selective color, these are for later. Got it? So this is how you change. Now if you look at the original image, let's just look at the original image, Control O, and see how the image was. and how it is now. Okay, many of you will say that this looks nicer than this one. Even I agree that whatever changes I just did to teach you guys. So that's why if I'm doing this professionally, I'll never make all these changes. But since this was the image and this is the final image, okay, see how the colors were, see how the colors are now. So this is how you can make an image good or an image bad by using these adjustment options. Okay, these are image adjustments which you can do and which you can use in your photos. Many things I have not told you, many things are there which is still to learn. I advise you to look in my videos, to look at other videos and learn about these things. If you are if you like to use Photoshop, or if you are doing something, if you are eager to learn about all those things, there are many great videos created by great people out there on the internet. I advise you to just go through those videos if you want to learn all these things nicely. If you have a DSLR and you are just clicking photos, if you want to modify those photos nicely, do that. You can use these options and modify the images. There is basically two more essential things that I wanted to teach you guys, but I think a three-part video is enough to learn the very basics of Photoshop. 3-part video, 30 minutes each, more or less than 30 minutes. So it's enough. But after this, if you want more videos like this by me, then you can just DM me on Instagram, or you can just comment down here. My first plan is to teach you guys about filters, how to apply filters in Photoshop, basic filters, blurring of the background and all these things. Okay, those basic filters. Then I want to teach you guys about selecting a portion of the image and how to modify that portion. Okay, so these are basically things that you should know if you are using Photoshop. And then one most important thing that I have not taught you guys is to apply text effects, which I want to teach, but I don't have that much time. I think these videos are how to change text, how to apply those text, okay, how to apply those text effects, how to increase this one. Now, if you have created a text like this, just right click on and click on blending options. Okay, then you can use like stroke. You can give a stroke to the text. Okay, like this, emphasize the text. Okay, or if you want just the outline of the text, which many of you guys will need just the outline of the text, then you just select, you just create the, like, let's say A, and you just want the outline of the A. Okay, then just quickly, I'm just quickly teaching you. Well, I simply, I'll just love to. It got hang. I don't know. Huh? What happened? Oh shit! My image size is very this one. Okay, so this is, however, is big. I was confused because I was thinking this is being measured in points, PTS, and the image size is in pixels. Okay, so if this is a text, then I can use the blending options to apply some things. Now if I want to create just the outline, okay, or I can just use the transform and then increase the size like this. Control T for transform, remember. just to create the outline, how to create the outline. Then just select the text, fill it with the same background color, right click, right click, click on blending options, give it a stroke, not a hard stroke, just a stroke. See, the outline is created. Okay. So there are many more things that you can do in Photoshop using not only text, but I wanted to teach you about the paint tool to create logos and such. Okay, you can create a logo and then fill that this portion with this one. So you can do all these things in Photoshop. Now I can teach you all these things. I can, but I have to get the time. Okay, so if you want, you can also learn it from other videos. You can learn, there are loads and loads of videos over the internet, but if you want me to teach you guys, then just comment or just DM me. I need motivation. Seriously, I need motivation, because right now I just got feedback from 2 of my students and not more than that. So I need motivation to continue creating these videos. This was just an essentials video, an essential basics, dire basics. Right now you guys know chapter 1 of Photoshop complete. Chapter 1, and let's say there is chapter 1 to chapter 10 of Photoshop. Right now you are at chapter 1. Okay, so if you guys want to advance to chapter 2, then look at other videos, look at how people do their editing. Okay, how professionals do their editing, how how you should, like, if someone is having a DSLR, then how they should click a photo so that proper contrast, proper exposure should come, so that minimal editing task is required, etc, etc. So all these things you have to learn, and then you have to do, keep on practicing. If you want to learn more, comment down below. You can DM me on Insta. You can even WhatsApp me. I'll not give you my number here, but still, if you want to learn, then just say it to me. I will. I want to continue this series. I just want to continue this series. The next thing I want to teach you guys about to make logos by using all these things and to apply text effects. Okay, so if you want more videos by me, then just comment down below. And if you have by using these things, if you have learned something, then give me a before and after photo. Like, for example, right now this is an after photo, the original before photo. Just give me a nice before and after photo on Instagram. I'll see how you have done your editing. Is it good, is it bad? And then I will see, and then if you want more help on that, you can just contact me, just comment or just DM me on Instagram. Alright, so that's it. If you have liked this video, click on that like button. If you have not liked this video, you can click on that dislike button. It will be very helpful for me to comment. I don't have that much subscriber, otherwise I would have told you guys to subscribe to my videos and click on that bell icon. If you don't want me to pester you, don't click on that bell icon. But basically I created these videos for my students who are learning and I hope that you have learned something. Okay, all right, bye bye.